Hello everyone. This is Six Path Weeb, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving into a wild multiverse crossover that bends logic, breaks dimensions, and rewrites destiny itself. Imagine this, a chakra signature unlike any other. Echoing beneath Gotham City. A hidden cave. Advanced technology. A symbol of fear. What if Naruko, the female counterpart of Naruto Uzumaki from the world of Naruto, accidentally discovered the Batcave? The secret headquarters of Batman? And before she could even process where she was, chaos erupts. Because in the shadows lurks Gotham's clown prince of crime, Joker. Chakra versus madness. Ninjutsu versus mind games. Will unpredictable energy outmatch calculated insanity? Or will Gotham change Naruko forever? Disclaimer. The content on this channel is for entertainment and discussion purposes only. I do not own any of the anime footage used in my videos. All rights and credits go to their respective creators and copyright holders. Now, let's begin. It was a quiet midnight in the hidden leaf village of Konoha. Lanterns glowed softly along the streets, and most of the shinobi were busy searching for the missing forbidden scroll. Naruko Uzumaki stood beside her teacher, Iruka Umino, her golden hair shimmering in the moonlight. She had just helped stop Mizuki, who had tricked her into taking the scroll. During that difficult moment, she had learned something painful. The nine-tailed fox, known as the Kyuubi, was sealed within her. She had heard the whispers before. She had seen the guarded glances. But hearing it spoken aloud made her heart feel heavy. Now she stood quietly, reflecting on her life. The long days of being ignored. The empty swings at the playground. The effort she had put into smiling brightly even when she felt alone. She had dreamed of becoming Hokage one day, of earning everyone's respect. But tonight, something inside her had changed. Iruka-sensei, Naruko said softly, her voice steady but calm. If that headband is for me, I don't want it. Iruka blinked in surprise. Naruko, this is your first step toward becoming a ninja. She shook her head gently. I don't want to be a shinobi anymore. Not for this village. Not for any village. Before Iruka could reply, the third Hokage, Hiruzen Sarutobi, stepped forward. His expression was kind, though filled with concern. Naruko, he said warmly, you helped capture a traitor. That proves you are ready to become a ninja. I know, she answered. But being ready isn't the same as wanting it. Soon, they gathered inside the Hokage Tower. The council chamber was full. Many villagers were waiting to hear who had taken the forbidden scroll. When Naruko entered, the room fell silent. Hiruzen explained what had happened and praised Naruko for her bravery. Yet some council members exchanged uneasy looks. Naruko stepped forward. I've decided to leave, she announced. I won't continue training as a shinobi. A murmur spread across the room. Why would you give up now? One council member asked. Naruko lifted her chin. Because I've spent my whole life trying to prove I belong. I thought if I became Hokage, everyone would finally see me as a hero. But I don't want to chase approval anymore. I want to understand who I am outside of titles and expectations. The room grew thoughtful. It's not easy being alone, she continued gently. But I don't want to live my life trying to earn kindness. I want to grow somewhere I can discover my own path. Hiruzen studied her carefully. Are you certain? Yes, Naruko replied. I'll always care about this village. But I need to find my purpose in my own way. The Hokage closed his eyes for a moment, then nodded. Very well, Naruko Uzumaki. May your journey bring you wisdom and happiness. As she stepped outside into the cool night air, she felt lighter. Not because she had all the answers, but because she had chosen honesty. Inside her mind, the gentle voice of the Kyuubi spoke. You surprised me, the fox said. I thought you would fight harder to stay. Naruko smiled faintly. Sometimes strength isn't about holding on. Sometimes it's about knowing when to change. Where will you go? The fox asked. To my parents' old home first, she replied. I want to understand their dreams. Not the village's dreams for me. Theirs. The stars shimmered above Konoha as Naruko walked forward. She did not feel angry. She did not feel bitter. She felt curious. For the first time, her journey would not be about becoming Hokage. It would be about becoming herself. And wherever that path led, Naruko would walk it with courage, kindness, and hope. Naruko planned to sleep in her parents' old home that night. She walked through the quiet clan district of Konoha, her heart steady and hopeful. The house stood tall with two welcoming stories and a smooth stone path leading to the front door. It felt both grand and gentle, like it had been waiting patiently for her return. When she reached the door, she remembered something her parents had once told her about a special seal. She carefully pressed her fingertip to the seal mark and focused her chakra. The door shimmered softly and opened with a warm glow. Naruko stepped inside, smiling at the peaceful blue and white walls. The air felt calm, almost as if the house recognized her. She explored each room for nearly half an hour, taking in every detail. Upstairs, her parents' bedroom was painted a soft shade of green. In one corner stood a small crib. Seeing it filled Naruko with warmth. It showed her that she had always been loved and expected with joy. Inside the closet were neatly folded clothes. She tried on a few outfits, discovering that they fit her perfectly. She chose several comfortable sets and carefully stored them in a sealing scroll. Though she was not a shinobi, she had learned useful skills over time, and she felt proud of what she could do. That evening, Naruko sat at a desk and wrote letters to her closest friends. She worked slowly and thoughtfully, sealing each letter with care. By the time she finished, the stars were shining brightly. She rested peacefully, hoping tomorrow would bring new beginnings. The next morning, Naruko woke early. She showered, dressed in black pants, a white shirt, a black vest, and sturdy boots, and then visited her parents' scroll vault. Inside were important scrolls containing knowledge about ninjutsu, genjutsu, taijutsu, kenjutsu, fuuinjutsu, and some savings her parents had set aside. She sealed them into one large scroll for safekeeping. Within her mind, the nine-tailed fox spirit, Kurama, spoke gently. "Are you certain about your plans?" Kurama asked. "I am," Naruko replied calmly in her thoughts. "I want to protect what belongs to my family and find my own path." She reactivated the home's security seals carefully. They glowed red for a moment before settling into a steady shine. The seals were designed only to protect, never to harm her. Once everything was prepared, she stepped outside, feeling that she would return one day. Naruko walked toward her favorite ramen stand, Ichiraku Ramen. The familiar aroma made her smile. "Good morning, Naruko." Ayame greeted warmly. Chuchi stepped forward with a grin. "We still see you as family, no matter what." Naruko laughed softly. "I'm glad. I'll have one of everything today." They talked while she enjoyed her meal slowly, appreciating each bite. After finishing, she handed them envelopes. "These are letters for you both," she explained. "I just wanted to say thank you." Ayame hugged her tightly. "You better come back and visit." "I promise," Naruko said sincerely. Next, Naruko went to the Hokage Tower to speak with Hiruzen Sarutobi. Soon, her friends gathered: Tenten, Rock Lee, Shikamaru Nara, Sai, Kiba Inuzuka, and Choji Akimichi. "I'm leaving the village for a while," Naruko told them honestly. "I want to discover who I am beyond expectations." Her friends were surprised but supportive. "Just stay safe," Rock Lee said with determination. Kiba nodded while Akamaru barked cheerfully. Choji handed her a bag of chips. "For the road." Naruko gave each of them a sealed letter. She also handed several letters to Hiruzen for trusted Onbu members who had quietly looked after her over the years. With heartfelt goodbyes, Naruko walked through the village gates, carrying hope with her. A week later, she arrived in the Land of Waves. She admired the large bridge under construction and learned it was being built by Tazuna. Inspired by his dedication to improving his homeland, she offered to help after spending a month preparing herself. As evening fell, Naruko wandered through a forest path and noticed a grand manor with the initials WM near its gate. The building was tall and welcoming. She stepped inside carefully, determined to explore respectfully and learn more about this new place. "Naruko," Kurama said thoughtfully. "Yes?" she replied in her mind. "This is the beginning of something important." Naruko smiled gently. She felt it too. She was no longer just following a path set before her. She was creating her own. And with courage, kindness, and hope, Naruko stepped forward into her bright future. Naruko paused near the edge of the waterfall, the cool mist brushing against her cheeks. She took a steady breath and gently corrected herself. "Time to begin," she said softly. Kyubi's warm voice echoed in her thoughts. "That sounds much better." Naruko smiled. She had grown a great deal in the past month, not just stronger and faster, but wiser too. The hidden chamber beneath the manor had become her classroom. The Bat computer had become her teacher. And the message from Bruce Wayne had become her guiding light. She adjusted the black suit with the red X across the chest. It fit her comfortably, layered with protective fabric from collar to boots. The suit was practical and sturdy, designed for movement and safety. There was no nudity anywhere in her gear, only strong materials meant to shield and support her. The glowing X symbols on her palms shimmered softly as she channeled chakra into them. Remember, Kyubi reminded her kindly, power is meant to protect, not to harm. Naruko nodded. I know. I just want to help. She practiced a few careful movements with the bow staff she had found in the display area. She moved with focus and control, imagining herself clearing fallen branches from a path or helping villagers rebuild broken fences. Every motion was precise, balanced, and calm. The suit responded beautifully to her chakra, enhancing her agility without overwhelming her. The cave behind her remained secret and silent, hidden by vines and stone. Inside were remarkable relics, a giant coin, a playing card, carefully preserved suits once worn by heroes like Nightwing and others who had chosen courage over fear. Naruko felt honored to learn from their legacy. She thought about the message she had watched again and again. Batman had not spoken about glory. He had spoken about responsibility, hope, and standing up for those who could not stand alone. I don't need to be the next Batman, Naruko said thoughtfully. I just need to be the best version of myself. Kyubi gave a proud hum. That is the wisest thing you have said all month. The morning fog drifted across the forest, wrapping the trees in silver light. Naruko leapt lightly onto a nearby rock, testing her balance. She activated the suit's display and scanned the surrounding area, not for enemies, but for signs of trouble. A broken bridge plank. A farmer's cart stuck in mud. A stray animal needing help. Her mission would not be about fighting. It would be about solving problems. She reviewed the training files once more in her mind: discipline, observation, patience. She remembered practicing from sunrise to moonlight, studying mechanics, reading about technology, and combining it with her own chakra control. She had even improved her handwriting while taking notes. Growth came from effort. That was the real lesson. Naruko tapped her communicator. All right, partner. Let's go see who needs a hand. With a swift but graceful movement, she dashed across the rocks and into the forest path. The red X on her chest glowed faintly in the mist, not as a warning, but as a promise. A promise that she would protect. A promise that she would learn. A promise that she would lead with kindness. And somewhere deep in the hidden cave, the legacy of heroes quietly approved. Naruko, wearing her red X suit, quietly followed Tazuna and the group of Konoha ninja from a safe distance. The suit gently compressed her chakra to power its systems, helping her stay hidden. She moved carefully, making sure not to disturb so much as a leaf. Through the digital binoculars built into her suit by Robin, she observed the team protecting Tazuna. With a small channel of chakra to her visor, the lenses activated. There we go, she whispered to herself. She saw familiar faces, her former academy classmates, Sasuke Uchiha, Sai, and Sakura Haruno, along with a loyal dog Anbu who had once guarded her when she was younger. Seeing them stirred memories, but she remained focused. Naruko believed in balance. Fuuinjutsu, Taijutsu, Kenjutsu, Genjutsu, and Ninjutsu all had their place. But to her, true strength came from discipline and awareness, not flashy techniques. When Sai tossed a kunai at a bush and revealed a startled white rabbit, Sakura quickly scolded him for acting without thinking. Naruko narrowed her eyes behind her mask. That rabbit was used for a substitution technique, she thought calmly. Someone switched places. Just then, a massive sword spun through the air and landed firmly in a tree ahead of the group. A thick mist began forming, clouding visibility. Naruko's binocular vision became useless. Time to switch modes, she said softly. She tapped the corner of her visor, activating infrared vision. Heat signatures glowed through the fog. Reading about something and actually seeing it are different experiences, the Kyubi commented from within her mind. You're right, Naruko replied thoughtfully. Technology has its own kind of power. She scanned the area carefully and spotted an unfamiliar heat signature deeper in the forest, someone observing from afar. Another presence, Kyubi noted. Naruko stood up carefully. Didn't Robin install a short-range teleporter? Kyubi asked. He did. Let's test it, Naruko answered. She channeled extra chakra into the suit. Her HUD displayed, teleporter activated. In a flash of red light, she reappeared several feet behind the mysterious observer. She landed slightly farther back than intended. I definitely need to adjust the range, she murmured to herself. The person turned, startled but composed, wearing a hunter's mask and mist attire. Who are you? They asked. Name's Red X, Naruko replied evenly. And you? I am a hunter tracking my target. Naruko tilted her head slightly. Why did you choose to become a ninja? Because it's something I believe in. And what do you think about Wave Country? The hunter paused. It could be a wonderful place if guided with fairness. Naruko listened closely. She sensed honesty in their tone. In the distance, the mist cleared, and the large swordsman had been subdued. The hunter nodded politely. There is my target. I must go. Naruko stepped aside, allowing them to pass. She watched thoughtfully as they departed. Something about that was incomplete, she said quietly. The disguise may have hidden their identity, Kyubi observed, but their words were sincere. Naruko nodded. If someone powerful is controlling Wave, it would explain the tension, she reasoned. Information is what I need. Public places gather stories, Kyubi suggested. A restaurant or gathering hall would be ideal. Naruko agreed and headed toward the Low Tide Bar and Grill, the most well-kept building in Wave. She had learned that it was one of the few businesses still thriving. She examined the structure from behind. The front entrance was too visible. The kitchen entrance carried risks. Climbing the walls using chakra might alert any trained shinobi inside. Then she noticed a tree branch reaching toward a second-floor window. I have an idea, she whispered. She carefully climbed the tree and edged along the branch. There was a small gap between it and the window ledge. I recommend a running jump, Kyubi encouraged. Naruko took a steady breath, backed up along the branch, and sprinted forward. She leapt gracefully and landed balanced on the ledge. Success, she said with a small smile. She activated the X-shaped glass cutter from her palm interface. A soft crimson glow traced a neat circle on the window. With careful precision, she removed the cut portion and placed it aside. She unlocked the window from inside and slipped through. Before continuing, she carefully replaced the circular glass piece, sealing it seamlessly. There was no sign of entry. Preparation prevents problems, Kyubi commented approvingly. Naruko selected her X-shaped restraint tools, just in case she needed to secure anything safely without harming anyone. Her suit's padded boots made no sound as she explored the upstairs hallway. She exited what appeared to be the owner's bedroom and counted 3 additional doors. Likely storage or office rooms, Kyubi suggested. Naruko nodded and proceeded calmly. She wasn't there to hurt anyone. She was there to understand the situation, to learn how Wave Country could become brighter. Because Naruko believed something very important. True strength isn't about overpowering others. It's about protecting hope, solving problems wisely, and helping communities stand tall on their own. And she would do exactly that, one careful step at a time. Naruko paused outside the private room, her hand resting lightly on the door. She had been walking through the quiet hallway when she overheard people speaking in hushed, determined tones about Gato and how they wished to stop his unfair influence over Wave. She took a steady breath. I guess we should go into the private room, Naruko thought, adjusting her red X mask. She reminded herself of her most important rule: no one would be harmed, no one would be mistreated, and there would be no nudity anywhere in anything she did. Her mission was about fairness, not force. She stepped inside. 5 people turned toward her. Who are you? Asked a young man with spiky brown hair and warm brown eyes. He wore neat blue clothing and simple sandals. This was Kiyu, once Gato's shipping manager. He knew every harbor and every route. A person who believes Wave deserves better, Red X replied calmly. The 2 women nearby gestured kindly for her to sit. My name is Umi, said a woman with long blue hair and bright green eyes. She wore a white blouse and black pants. She had once handled finances and knew how money flowed through Wave. I'm Tsuchi, said a broad-shouldered man with a calm presence. He wore dark clothes and carried himself like someone who had protected others before. He had once served as a guard. Kasai, said another man with red hair and thoughtful gray eyes. He had designed many buildings, including Gato's hideout. And I'm Raiko, said a blonde woman with clear blue eyes, once responsible for records and information. Before Naruko could respond, the door opened again. A tall woman with long white hair stepped in. She wore a simple sleeveless shirt and black pants. She carried herself with quiet authority. Hey, Tsukai, Tsuchi said. This person says she wants to bring change to Wave. Tsukai, the owner of the bar and grill, and once an advisor, studied Naruko thoughtfully. Go ahead and sit, she said. Naruko sat between Umi and Raiko, keeping her focus steady. Inside her mind, a familiar voice spoke. Stay focused, Naruko, said Kyubi gently. I am, Naruko thought back with a small smile. This is important. Tsukai crossed her arms. Why do you want to challenge Gato's control? Because Wave has potential, Naruko answered. It shouldn't be held back by unfair leadership. I believe people here deserve opportunity. The group exchanged glances. We once tried to stand up for fairness, Kiyu said quietly. But it didn't go well. Naruko's eyes softened. Then let's try a better way. She explained her idea, a new company built on honesty, skill, and equal opportunity. A business led by young minds who believed in teamwork. A place where civilians could thrive without fear. Kiyu leaned forward. I'd like to test this young leader of yours. A written test. If they truly understand business, we'll consider joining. That's fair, Naruko said confidently. They'll be ready. Tsuchi spoke firmly. No illegal dealings. No harm. No mistreatment of anyone. Absolutely not, Naruko replied at once. This company will stand for fairness and equality. Everyone will be respected. The tension in the room eased. Tsukai tilted her head. When can we meet this leader? Tomorrow afternoon, Naruko said. After I speak with Gato and convince him to step aside peacefully. They blinked. Peacefully? Kasai asked. Yes, Naruko said. There are always solutions that don't involve harm. I plan to present the truth and show him that Wave is stronger when its people work together. Kasai nodded slowly. I still have the plans to his headquarters, he said, handing over a scroll. If you need to speak with him, this will help you navigate. Thank you, Naruko said, carefully tucking it away. Please bring positive change, Umi said softly. I will, Naruko promised. She tapped the X on her belt. In a shimmer of light, she vanished, not dramatically, just efficiently. The 6 adults stared at the empty chair. She's determined, Tsuchi said with a faint smile. She is, Tsukai agreed, though she looked puzzled. I didn't even see her come in. Back on the rooftop, Naruko reappeared under the evening sky. She quickly made her way to the hidden entrance she had built behind a waterfall. Inside her carefully designed cave workspace, her version of a Batcave, she removed her mask and set it beside her computer. Information gathering was a success, Kyubi said warmly. It was, Naruko agreed, brushing her bright hair from her face. But I still need practice with the suit. The teleporter overshot my mark again. You'll master it, Kyubi assured her. Just like you learned to guide your chakra. Naruko opened a file labeled Zenithium, studying notes about how its energy could be shaped with focus and patience. Kind of like chakra, she murmured. Exactly, Kyubi replied. Naruko leaned back in her chair, thoughtful. She remembered the kindness of Ayame and Tucci at the ramen shop, how they had once told her she would make a wonderful business leader someday. Maybe this was her chance to prove that. Tomorrow, she would meet Gato, not with anger, but with courage and clear reasoning. She would show him that Wave's future didn't belong to one person. It belonged to everyone. And no matter what happened, she would hold to her promise, no one would be hurt, no one would be mistreated, and there would never be nudity anywhere in her mission. Because Naruko believed true strength meant protecting others, building opportunities, and creating a brighter tomorrow for all. Naruko nodded thoughtfully as she adjusted the red X mask over her face. The suit fit her perfectly now, moving smoothly as she practiced stepping, turning, and leaping across the training floor of her hidden cave. You are improving quickly, Kyubi said gently from within her mind. But are you certain you want to visit Tazuna dressed like that? The Konoha shinobi are still staying there. Naruko smiled beneath the mask. I'll be fine. I came up with a good backstory. Besides, this will help everyone in the long run, she thought confidently. She had decided that at midnight she would quietly investigate Gato's large warehouse near the docks. She didn't plan to fight anyone or cause harm, her goal was simply to gather information that could help free Wave Village from unfair business control. That gave her several hours to practice with the suit and upload Kasai's blueprints into her wrist device. By 8 o'clock, Naruko felt ready for a short visit. She slipped out of the cave and made her way toward Tazuna's house, moving lightly across the rooftops. The cool evening breeze carried the comforting scent of home-cooked dinner. Tazuna's house. Naruko, dressed as Red X, knocked politely on the door. She could tell Tsunami had just finished cooking. Tazuna opened the door and blinked in surprise at the masked visitor. Before anyone could panic, Naruko raised her hands calmly. Easy, she said playfully. I promise I'm not here to cause trouble. Two of the younger shinobi inside instinctively tossed practice kunai toward her feet as a warning. Naruko gracefully sidestepped them and used her X-shaped training blades, not sharp, only practice tools, to gently block their path. "Is this how you welcome guests?" she joked lightly. "Who are you?" Kazuna asked carefully. "I work for Naruko Uzumaki," Red X replied. The room grew quiet. "Why would you work for her?" Sakura asked, surprised. "She stopped being a ninja." "I know," Red X answered kindly. "And that was her choice. She believes there are many ways to protect people. We both want the same thing, to help Wave Village stand on its own." Kakashi, resting comfortably in his chair, studied her thoughtfully. "And how exactly do you plan to do that?" he asked. "By making sure honest work succeeds," Red X said simply. Kazuna brightened. "If you see Naruko, tell her we'd be happy to have her help at the bridge tomorrow afternoon." "She already knows," Red X replied warmly. "She'll be there." Sasuke crossed his arms. "Why would someone from a ninja family work construction?" Red X chuckled. "Because real strength isn't just about flashy skills. It's about finishing what you start, and helping people along the way." Kakashi nodded approvingly. "Well said." Tsunami stepped forward with a small wrapped meal. "You must be busy. Please take this." "Thank you," Red X said gratefully. "I can't stay long, but I appreciate it." She pressed the X on her utility belt, activating her short-range teleporter. In a shimmer of light, she disappeared. Dash. Behind the waterfall. Naruko reappeared safely near the waterfall entrance to her hidden base. She walked inside, set down the meal, and sat at her computer console. After eating, she carefully organized her equipment. She added small smoke capsules for distraction, bright flash devices to briefly light up dark spaces, and gentle sleeping capsules designed to make someone drowsy for a short time, no harm done. Everything she prepared was meant to avoid direct conflict. Kyubi observed her preparations. "You have planned this carefully," he said. "But what about the suit's special feature?" Naruko scrolled through the suit's final blueprint detail. It described a temporary invisibility mode that bent light around the fabric. "I'll only use it if I absolutely must," she said. "It might drain too much energy." "A wise choice," Kyubi replied. "You are already skilled at moving unseen." Naruko stood, adjusting her gloves. Midnight was approaching. She felt calm, focused, and determined, not to fight, but to uncover the truth and protect the hard-working people of Wave Village. She took a steady breath. "Time to shine," she whispered. And with that, Naruko prepared to step into the night, not as someone seeking glory, but as someone determined to make a difference. Naruko adjusted the final clasp on her high-tech suit and studied her reflection in the smooth stone wall behind the waterfall entrance. The invisibility feature shimmered softly for a moment before fading back to normal. "The invisibility feature is amazing," she whispered to herself, "but I want to try my X-beam soon." Inside her HUD, the clock turned to midnight. "Well, it's time," Kyubi said calmly in her earpiece. His voice carried encouragement rather than urgency. Naruko nodded. She always referred to herself proudly as a guardian in training, someone who solved problems with creativity and courage. There were no dangerous missions tonight, only a challenge to uncover secrets and help protect her village in a smart, peaceful way. She reminded herself of her most important rule: there is no nudity anywhere in the content of her adventures. Her suit was secure, practical, and designed for safety. She stepped through the waterfall exit, droplets sparkling around her like tiny stars. With a clear voice command, she brought up Kasai's blueprints in her visor. A glowing map appeared before her eyes, highlighting Gato's coastal estate. Gato's hideout. The place was enormous. Naruko had expected a large mansion, but this looked almost like a training academy mixed with a harbor station. Tall trees surrounded the property, and perched high among their branches were lookout cabins with bright lanterns glowing warmly inside. Instead of guards pacing around, she noticed mechanical sensors and harmless alert drones floating quietly in the air. A massive gate encircled the estate, decorated with polished metal patterns shaped like waves. Beyond the main building, she spotted a long dock stretching toward the ocean. Cargo ships rested peacefully in the harbor, gently rocking with the tide. "That must be where the shipping parts come in," she said thoughtfully. Kyubi's voice chimed again. "Remember, Naruko, we are here to gather information and make sure no one is being treated unfairly. We solve problems with wisdom." Naruko smiled. "Of course. No rushing in." She activated her invisibility feature for just a moment to test it. Her outline shimmered and blended into the night air. It felt amazing, but she turned it off quickly. She wanted to rely on observation first. From a hill overlooking the estate, she scanned the layout again. She realized the lookout cabins were not only for security, they also seemed to be communication towers. Colored lights blinked between them in patterns. Perhaps Gato's team was coordinating shipments or tracking supplies. Naruko felt a spark of excitement, not the reckless kind, but the kind that comes from solving a puzzle. "All right," she said confidently. Step 1. Reach the outer gate without triggering the sensors. Step 2. Use the blueprints to find the control room. Step 3. Learn what's really happening here. And Step 4? QB asked playfully. "Make things better," she replied. With steady breaths and careful steps, Naruko began making her way toward Gato's base. The trees whispered in the breeze, and the ocean reflected the moonlight in silver streaks. Tonight was not about fighting. It was about learning, growing, and proving that she could use her abilities responsibly. She adjusted her visor one last time and smiled. Overall, this was going to be an adventure, and she was ready for it. Dear YouTube family, this is all for now, but the journey doesn't stop here. Every view, every like, and every comment fuels the passion behind this channel. If you enjoyed today's content, make sure to like, share, and subscribe so you never miss what's coming next. Until our paths cross again, stay curious, stay inspired, and keep exploring. Thank you for being part of the Six Path Weeb community. Regards. Six Path Weeb.